And the president has also said, when it comes to, violent rhetoric, we got to bring the temperature down. You heard that directly from this president. And it is not the time to tear Americans apart.
To be clear, just to clarify, so You're saying that the president and vice president believe that former President Donald Trump should be toning down his rhetoric?
So I'll say this. President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy.
Do you have any reaction to Senator Vance's comments in which he noted that the difference between, in his view, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is that no one has tried to assassinate Vice President Harris?
Again, going to be mindful. Obviously, he's a candidate. But when you are a national leader, and you have a community that looks up to your leadership, and you have a job where you're supposed to make people's lives better, where you're supposed to do the thing that is right on behalf, not just the American people, but on behalf of this country, people entrust in you to do just that, entrust in you to make decisions that's going to move this country forward, to make it the great country that it is. And when you have that type of language out there, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because people look up to that particular national leader, and they listen to you when you are a national leader. And when you make comments like that, all it does is create or opens an opportunity for people to listen to you and potentially take you very seriously. And so it's dangerous to have that type of rhetoric out there. This is why this president and this vice president has been very clear on condemning any type of political violence, political rhetoric. And that's why when the president called the former president, was really relieved that the president was safe. And the president has said, we need to tone that down. We need to tone it down. And it should have no place in our politics. It should have no place in our country. We should not be speaking that way. We should not be saying those things. It is already, we are living in a space right now where the political rhetoric is too high. The violent rhetoric is too high. And we saw what happened on January 6th. Let's not forget from his role of January 6th. And they did, January 6th. You think about, January 6th again, all leaders on both parties have to make sure that we do not use that type of violent political rhetoric. Because look what happened, January 6th.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
I want to follow up on that because Senator Vance appeared to call out specifically one of the phrases that you used earlier, which was threat to democracy. He said, we cannot tell the American people that one candidate is a fascist and if he's elected that it's going to be the end of American democracy. Now, I recognize that Donald Trump has also used those phrases, threat to democracy, danger to democracy, but in light of what has happened and in light of the fact that there are going to be disturbed people who take words like threat or danger literally, is the president and is the vice president considering avoiding those specific terms, threat to democracy or danger to democracy?
I mean, look, and I answered this question. The president has always been very clear-eyed about this, about the threat of the former president represents to our democracy. Just think about January 6th. January 6th, we have to be honest with the American people when we see those types of threats, when we see that type of rhetoric that led to 2,000 people going to the Capitol. We have to call that out. Look, let me step back for a second even further. You all as news organizations have the obligation, right? You are all obligated to cover events like January 6th. As I mentioned before, some of your colleagues were there, some of you were there on January 6th. And you had to report that the way you saw it, the obligation to do that. And we appreciate it because I know those were dangerous times. That was a dangerous day to be there. And, we have to call out any type of refusal of an outcome of an election any type of violent rhetoric. And this administration has the responsibility to be honest to the American people.